I get a lot of people who reach out to me all the time and send me emails and ask me questions. And this one young lady messaged me and she said, Michelle, I follow you online. I really like the work that you do, in particular around like autism and people who think differently. And and so I said, okay, well, let's set up. She said, I just started my own business and I was wondering if you could talk. And I was like, yeah, of course. So she sends me a meeting link and we start talking. And about 30 seconds into the conversation, I'm like, whoa, I need the world to meet this girl. She's really smart. I love telling stories more than I love doing anything in the world. And so I'm going to introduce you to, oh, hang on a sec. Here we go. I'm going to introduce you to Karina Gaudier. So I said your last name right, Karina?
Gaudier.
Gaudier.
Yeah.
Gaudier. So Karina is in Bobcaygeon, Ontario. She is 35. She lives with autism. She found a problem in the system in terms of workplaces and workforce that didn't have proper tools and training to deal with people who have autism. So she did what all entrepreneurs do. When she finds a problem, she solves the problem, and now she's launching her own business. And she's not paying me to do this. I just thought her story was really remarkable and she shared so much insight. So we already recorded an interview, so this might be a little bit redundant for you, Karina, but I want to share with people what happened. So 35 years old, at 18, the support systems for autism are cut off. So you were working in a work environment that wasn't able to understand how your mind kind of worked. You're highly intelligent, really great with numbers, but they weren't able to sort of support you. So you came up with autismworkforcesolutions.com.
Yeah.
And and what does that do for an employer?
So we help the employers understand and speak autism, right? So we develop like either policies or we teach leaders how to employ, how to do the entire process from hiring to actually keeping them autistic employee and help and feedbacks and monthly meetings and things like that. So they can benefit from having someone autistic in their team.
Okay, so Karina is downplaying herself so much here because she's really, really clever. But we got into a lot of different conversations pretty quickly. And I said to her, I said, so you probably saw that Pierre Poilievre talked at convention about his autistic daughter. And off camera, you had such an authentic, excited response. Why?
Because that touched me. When he started crying, I started crying, and it was great. And my message to them, if he's watching or if he's ever going to watch, is she's going to be just fine and she's going to be exceptional. She'll be great. You're giving her the tools that she needs. I was also nonverbal. And here I am now talking, talking, talking. So,
I love that so much. And you're doing great at it. Now, here's where I think a lot of people are going to really be interested, Karina, especially parents, grandparents, teachers. So, according to Ontario stats, how many kids will be diagnosed with autism?
1 in 66.
Okay.
But okay, that data to me it should be uh refreshed because the last consensus was in 2020. So it's been 5 years. So
Right.
that number is definitely higher now.
And I've talked about this for a long time. When I used to do work with the Merit Center self-regulation and Stuart Shanker, I asked him a question a long time ago and I said, do you think more people actually have autism or do you think we just are able to diagnose it better now and it has a label, because I think about lots of people in my family who were clearly autistic, but they just never had that label, and so I think it's the ability to diagnose it. So you said something to me which was very interesting, and I want all parents to listen to what Karina is about to say. So as parents, we want our kids to fit in. We want them to belong, right? That's probably one of the biggest things we want. And for kids who are neurodivergent, which my sister didn't know what that term was, I'm like neurotypical, neurodivergent. Neurotypical means they're sort of typical brain. Neurodivergent means a little different brain, right? And for a lot of them, socializing is challenging. And so it often is probably the hardest part of it. And so a lot of parents feel really sad that their kid is maybe not invited to a birthday party or included or is not socializing or going to parties. And that makes them feel bad. And you said, Michelle, I have a little bit of a different take on that. What is it?
Yeah, so my take is on, the autistic side. As long as your kid is happy doing what they're doing, there's no need to change that. We don't want to go to parties like when my mom made me go to birthday parties because I have very extroverted parents, and I would hate it. I would have like so much anxiety. I would be so dysregulated for days that, it's not worth it. So I was happy just being home playing video games and having two friends. Even nowadays, that's still what I do. I read books and I play video games. So, yeah, so don't try to push your kid to do something that they don't feel comfortable doing. It is okay to be different, right? So as long as they're happy, that's all that matters. It shouldn't be a big deal.
It's a tough needle to thread, I will tell you, Karina, because you want to introduce your kids to opportunities, and so you do sometimes have to put them into a position where they don't want to go. But then I think once you do that, like I can speak from my kids and my experience where I would put my kids in every sport and everything, and they wouldn't want to do it. And then it's like, okay, and you parents have this tendency to make it about themselves, right? Not doing a good job instead of actually listening to the kid. And it's sometimes really hard to navigate that. But I told you this story earlier. I said, my mom, it's her birthday today. Happy birthday, mom. But I
Happy
remember
birthday!
I remember I had a bit of an epiphany with her because we were looking at houses. This was when I was first looking for a house when young people could actually afford a house. And she said, Michelle, you have to get a house with a tub. And because it only had a shower. And I said, I don't care, mom. And she goes, no, you have to have a bath. And I said, no, no, that's what you want. That's not what I want.
Yeah.
And I realized quickly that we as parents don't realize we're projecting what we just assume everybody thinks like us. And this happens in most conflicts and relationships in the world, actually. You think that that other person thinks like you or wants the same things as you, and they don't. And it's even harder in parenting because you're so emotionally involved and you're just so worried about your kid doing well. So
Yeah.
that's great advice, Karina. The last thing I want to say before we wrap up and tell people more about your Autism Workforce Solutions, if you're just joining us. Oh, my mom just texted me and she said, Michelle, your live says Michelle Ferreri MP. I'm so sorry. I don't know how to change that. It's on my Zoom. Let's see if I
It
can
is
fix
okay, people. It's just a technical glitch,
it.
but we will survive. It's
Oh, wait,
fine.
hang on. I can fix it. Oh, I can fix it. Thanks, mom. Thanks, mom. Okay, there. I got it. I got it.
There we
Okay.
go.
Thank you. It's because it was my old MP account. Thank you so much. Um, so what was I going to talk to you about there? There was one more thing. Now I got distracted because of my mom. Oh, efficiencies. So this is one of the things Karina and I were like, she was like my spirit animal because I said to her, she's told me, she goes, Michelle, I used to get in trouble all the time because people would tell me I'm too honest. And I have so many autistic people who message me and connect with me. And I think it's probably because I'm so blunt and direct. And I don't think I'm blunt and direct. I think I'm being whatever.
Normal. Yep.
And it's like, nope, Michelle, that's really blunt. And so anyway, so we were having this conversation because in politics, the reason I get so fired up and so passionate is because I can't stand inefficiencies and I can't stand when things could be done a better way, which in all essence helps people, right? Because that's what the government's job is to do, is to help people. And so, Karina, you told me this amazing story. And can you share it again about how you found an inefficiency and how it just drives you crazy? You made me feel seen and heard. I feel the
Yeah.
same way,
Yeah.
Karina.
So I was working, and then this director reached out to me, and she's like, "Oh, um, my current department, we print out thousands of emails a day. One person manually writes down the calculations, send it to the next person that sits next to them, a stack of paper. They have no clue what they're inputting. They're just inputting numbers without even understanding it. And then they would give it to the audit person to make sure the numbers were right. I told her, I'm like, how? Like, no, like, this is insanity. I can't live like this. So she's
I
like,
can't live like this.
do you think you can uh make the department go online? I'm like, absolutely, yes, yes, I will do that. So that was during COVID, and we had 6 months to do it. That was the project length. But because of COVID, everybody went home and they didn't have access to work from home or anything. So I had to do it in a day. And everything after that, like, they're running more smoothly. Now everything makes sense. People understand their work. It's great. And yeah. So,
Here for efficiency, right?
yes.
That's
And
why
I wish the government
we
would,
need Korea to
have the same
overhaul the liberal
mentality.
government. We need to
Yes.
overhaul
Uh,
the whole liberal government. If you're
yes.
just joining us, I figured out, and this is how I don't plan these things. I swear, it just happens so organically. But speaking of efficiencies, I didn't want to edit the video, so I was like, let's see if I can figure out how to go live. And that's what we're doing. We're talking to Karina. She had reached out to me. She started a business called Autism Workforce Solutions.com. She lives with autism, and she was finding a lot of problems with her employer who didn't know how to manage people with autism. And so she created her own business, which is what a true entrepreneur is. And she's doing exceptional at it. And I just want to point out again, why would somebody, so number one, everybody wants to and needs to work. I can't stress that enough. Work is so important to the human spirit. To be able to get up and have structure, to have purpose, everybody needs it. And, we have very high unemployment rates, and the temporary foreign worker program is a major problem. We have people with neurodivergence where the employer maybe doesn't know how to work with that person. Meanwhile, they could be really helping their work, their productivity, their efficiency, all of these kinds of things. What would be the benefit of an employer hiring an autistic person, Karina?
So we bring again efficiencies because our brain is set up that way. So yeah, because we have less, we call it in the spectrum, we have less spoons than a neuro typical person, right? To use it every day. So we have like 10 spoons and each activity take a number of spoons. So
Mm.
um that's why we're always very efficient because we don't want to be using enough spoons. So um we are efficient. We bring a different perspective because our brain is literally wired different. So we see things that neurotypical people don't see, right? We're very good with details. We can
Mm.
hyper focus. We have so many good qualities that neurotypical people don't have, and we're just not being um asked what we can do. I think the biggest thing also in um work culture is, for me, how I see it is, you have to find people's strengths instead of like just focusing on what they cannot do. So, and they don't do that. People don't do the work to figure it out. Look, this person would be great at doing such and such work. Even for autistic people, they are nonverbal, they can still work, right? We just have to
Yeah.
find something that they enjoy and they can actually do. So
That's human resources 101, honestly,
yeah.
Karina, whether you're neurodivergent or neurotypical. If you put the wrong person in the wrong place, your business is going to implode. It's a good hockey team, it's a good sports team. If you put a defenseman in offense, you're not going to have the results that you need. And so I think this is amazing. And I think you give a lot of hope. You're married.
Yes.
Um, and you had a great words of wisdom around that as well. What was it?
So you just have to find one person. It's one person that can understand you and then can help you out. So yeah, my partner, he is amazing. He helps me when I'm overstimulated. He helps me um when I need help, or even understanding people, because sometimes we're like talking to people and then I don't understand. He's like, oh, this person meant this, or their facial expression meant that. So I'm like, oh, okay, sure. So yeah, he has helped me a lot. So you just need to find that one person that is willing and to understand and help you out. And Yeah, one.
The power of one. I've
Yes,
always said that. The power of one is a remarkable thing. And
yes.
what a breath of fresh air you are, Karina. And I will leave this with you. And like I said earlier, a lot of autistic neurodivergent people message me often and reach out to me. And a lot of them have what's called hyperfocus. And that is an incredible thing, right? But the biggest thing I would take away or give to people watching is you get what you ask for. And so if you don't ask, that'll never happen. And Karina just messaged me, like, what compelled you to message me? Again, she's not paying me for all of this advertising or whatever you want to call it. It's just I felt her story was so important to help others and educate people and help employers and help parents. You're an intersection of so many great things, Karina. But what compelled you to reach out?
So I love your messages. And again, because you're so blunt and honest, I knew what I was going to get. So I don't like to reach out to people that, I don't know who they really are, right? Where I can see. And you're so straightforward. I was like, I've been following you for like the longest time. And I'm like, oh my God, why don't we have people like her in the world? Because the world would be so much easier. So. Yeah, so to me, I felt like comfortable. I don't know. And I was like, I think, the person that she is online, it's who she is in person. So that's why I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try. Who knows?
Love it. You get nothing what you don't ask for, right? Like the Wayne
Yeah.
Gretzky thing. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And so I just think that's also an awesome lesson for anybody watching. If you want something, you have to ask for it, and you never know what will happen. And so I feel great that we got to connect. I can't wait to send Pierre your message about his daughter Valentina. I want people to know it is very hard. The first time I ever met Pierre, the first time I ever talked to him, within 3.5 minutes, he told me he had an autistic daughter. And I don't know how it happened. I think probably because we're both like direct, blunt people, and we just had an instant connection and talk about his daughter and how remarkable she was and how smart she was and all of these kinds of things. And I always wanted Pierre to talk about Valentina, but
Mhm.
it's very hard for parents to do that, because especially politicians, because people don't treat us like humans. And so what happens is you start to build a armor around you, and you do not let your guard down, and you do not want to show vulnerability. And so he has mentioned her before, but that speech at the conservative convention was the very first time where Pierre really showed a lot of vulnerability in regard to his daughter, saying her first word, and he teared up. And there was a lovely boy behind him who also teared up. I did an interview with him too. And he is a truly emotional, vulnerable person. But I think just so many people seeing that, and somebody like yourself, Karina, seeing that, and your message that we got out of this, if you're just joining, where you said his daughter is going to be amazing. I can't wait to share that with him. It's
Pierre, if you ever need, you can contact me. I can share stories and all difficulties that I've been through in life. So I really like his content as well. I think, we need more people that are honest and blunt, and that's what it's missing in the world, and that's why we're in such a mess, right? So, yeah.
I couldn't
It
agree
was a
more.
great moment, and yeah, I can put into words what I felt. It was, yeah, it's truly like it was very impactful because I felt like I'm not alone. So, yeah.
And that's a full circle to what I was saying about parents worrying about their kids, because we all need to belong, right? We all need to know. It's just some people need less people to belong to your point of autistic folks. And I think that's really a really powerful message. And I think what you resonate with is the same reason I resonate with Pierre, where it's efficient. He's statistical, he's fact driven. And then, people who are really driven by emotion or vibes, or like, well, I don't want to talk about that. That's too negative or that's too harsh. We don't see the world the same. And so I think that's a lot of the conflict that we actually have outside, because people think you're like, oh, critics will say she's a rage baiter. And for me, I'm like, we need to talk about this. We need to talk about this. Like, we can't fix it if we don't talk about it. And so, it's very interesting how the world and different people perceive the messenger so differently. When one person can watch it and think, wow, this is so powerful and meaningful. And then another person watches the same thing. Like Pierre's critics called it cringy when he talked about his daughter, and fake and rehearsed. And it's just bizarre to me that we live in this world where you're watching the same show, but you're
Yeah.
getting a totally different message, right? It's like that dress online. Do you see a gold dress or a blue and black dress? And it's like, what is happening? What is happening? You know?
Yeah.
So it was really amazing speaking to you, Karina. So autismworkforcesolutions.com. You're just launching this business. You're out there to help employers. You can book custom packages and help them increase their efficiency, help them learn how to understand what autistic employees can offer the company, and how to put them in the best position for everybody to increase productivity and fulfillment, basically.
Yeah, and we're also launching a book. So we'll that explains the same thing, so that it will be like an online book, an ebook. So also keep an eye for that.
You are going to do even more incredible things, Karina. I have no doubt in my mind. Thank you for being such a powerful voice and articulate. And I think our world is slowly changing, and you're part of that change. So get
I hope
everybody to
so.
work, right? Everybody has something to offer.
Yes.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Karina. And thank you for being part of my live Facebook video that I didn't know how to work.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching, everybody.